Hey YouTube, I'm making a hate video right now, and I usually try to keep my thoughts about me a little bit before I make some of these videos and try to put stuff together, but I'm not. I'm just going to wing this one. And again, I've said this in other videos, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I just like to get my thoughts out there once in a while. In a nutshell, this is about Husky sockets, Husky tools, and really just the inconsistency. I know it's not just Husky, just Home Depot, whatever. There is a absolute, complete, and teetotal trend of Americans getting completely ass raped on bullshit products, and we're expected to pay a normal price for these things, and no one ever actually seemingly, I don't know, has a problem with it. So in a nutshell, I've got here in front of you, I've got some Craftsman tools that I bought, I don't know, 24, 5 years ago maybe, I'm guessing 22, 23 years ago. They're the actual made in America Craftsman. I've used these things for a long time. I used to make my living in the automotive industry. I didn't mind purchasing expensive tools because I did make my living off of them. I was one of the first to buy one of the flex head snap-ons. I've got certain tools I did buy and I paid a lot of money for because they're worth it, and certain tools no. Sockets were not them. The reason I bought Craftsman sockets is because they have a warranty on them, and I could stop by Sears and I could get a brand new one if I cracked one, and I didn't ever really break one. I think I broke a 15 one time on an Ingersoll Rand 3/8 impact. I used these things on impacts for 20 years. I broke maybe 2 or 3 of them. They just never broke. They're quality, and now they're shit. They're made in China. They're junk. They sold them to Lowe's, and then now they're selling 2 different versions of Chinese Craftsman sockets. They're all junk. Snap-on's quality tools, but my God, they're absolutely insane with their cost. They are not worth $200-300 for a short set. That's just insane. So anyway, sockets, if you have a lifetime warranty and you can replace them in town and at a moment's notice, why the hell would you go buy $300 sockets? It's just not very smart. And I did this for many years in multiple dealerships, and I never had a problem. So fast forward, I decided to take one of my old sets, these old Craftsman. I was going to put them in a kind of like a travel kit because I do a lot of work for some other people here and there. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to update my tools. I've gotten out of the automotive industry. I am now into a total different industry, and I really just use my tools for recreation, and I don't make my living necessarily by them anymore. So I decided to buy some Husky sockets, full sets, metric, standard, 3/8 is what I've got. I got a 1/4 inch on the way. It was supposed to have been here today. It wasn't. I picked up the 3/8 deep and shallow, metric and standard today, and I got them home, and I knew within 5 minutes I got screwed. What shit. Now, before you go and say I'm some Home Depot hater or a Husky hater, I've got a set of Husky tamper-proof Torques. These things are quality. I've had them for years. They're properly made. They don't have any defects. I've used these on impacts. They are quality. I don't know where they're made. Probably Taiwan. I don't have any issues with them. I've got another set of Husky non-tamper-proof. I've also got some Allens. Again, these are a little bit different than these. I don't know what the major differences are, but obviously they came from a different forge. These are made in Taiwan for sure because it says so on the back. The plastic's made in China, but the tool was forged in Taiwan. I've got some Taiwan stuff. It's kind of mixed motion, but mostly I can sometimes trust Taiwan if I'm getting a good enough price point for what I'm buying. I've never found anything made in China that's ever worth a red cent. They're just, everything that comes out of China is just trash. Now, fast forward, I got this set of sockets, and I'm going to try to focus in on my screen up here to show you, if I can, if it will. Oh, by the way, I finally bought a tripod. Such a cheap bastard. This is the socket set I bought. $69. Let me get you in there about right. Hopefully you can see all this. I'll read it to you. Find it on your own website, your own computer. This is on Home Depot's website. This is the set that you see in front of you. Now, the ones in the trays are Craftsman, the old Craftsman, 20 plus years old, give or take. The one sitting behind and in front of each tray is the Husky. So this is the computer screen. This is the set that I purchased, I picked up today. I paid $70 for it. Yep, not too bad. It says 3/8 SAEN metric, short and deep, comes with 4 spark plug sockets. This 54-piece socket set is a comprehensive 3/8 drive collection from Husky. Set provides a wide variety of sockets, including metric, standard sizes. Let me click full description. Takes me to the bottom. Fully polished chrome, easily wipes off oil and dirt. Remember that, fully polished. Cold formed alloy steel sockets, outstanding durability and strength. Sockets feature chamfered lead-ins. Chamfered lead-ins, remember that. Sockets designed with off-corner loading, yeah, whatever. Chrome finish provides corrosion. Remember, chrome finish. Large stamps, meets or exceeds ANSI. What do you want, a cookie? Anyway, nowhere in the description does it actually tell you what sizes come in the set. You don't know, it doesn't say anywhere. So they give me a complete and teetotal non-skip set, except for a short 20. They went from a 19 to a 21. Nothing else skips, except for this 20. That's pretty stupid. Of course, the deep well stops at 19, so I don't even get a 20 or a 21 in deep. But everything, for the most part, is in line. Quality control, such shit. I'll give you the first example right here, which blew me away. This is my short 9mm. As you can see, the ratchet end goes where my pinky is, and the bolt or nut would go where my pointing finger is. There's only one problem. There's your 9mm hex, and there's your 3/8 drive. It even split it down the sides, because when they ran the 3/8 drive into where the 9mm hex was supposed to go, they split it on 4 corners. And that makes their quality control. There's a problem. Then you got something like this. This is in my right hand, this is a 17, and my left hand is a 19. Do you see a problem inside? Yeah, something missed the chromer. I've got about 6 or 7 random ones where they didn't polish or chrome the interiors. Some of them are half done. I'll give you an example. That would be this one. The one on the far right, might be hard to tell, is about half chromed. The one in the middle is not at all. The one on the left is polished on the interior. So their quality control is shit. Then you go to the issue of, and that's on both sides. For instance, here is my biggest two on the standards. That's 7/8 on the left, 13/16 on the right. The 13/16, the one on the right, is polished all the way down. The one on the left is absolute raw junk steel. It almost looks like aluminum. It looks like the aluminum. It does. It looks like crap. Anyway, so the problem is whenever they didn't chrome them correctly, you end up with the chrome dripping over the edge, and it gives you this lip that you can feel is sharp. Some of them are worse than others. Some, like this one right here, it actually grabs. There's a lip in there because the chrome overlapped, and there's a layering difference between the lead end to the socket and the actual socket wall. Because it feels like, I don't know, it feels sharp. Let's just put it that way. You kind of get the idea. When the chrome was it not ran all the way down into the bore of the socket, it ends up giving you an end somewhere, and that's where it's at. Junk, trash, crap, shit. The interiors of the machining also completely different. You might not be able to see on the screen, but you can see heavy. I don't even know what kind of machining mark that is on the left. The polishing is different. The chrome layer is different. The chrome on the outside is blotchy. It looks like half of these Huskies and the engraving was done by a blind kid with by eye. The chrome is trash. It doesn't look smooth. It's not smooth. You can actually feel it. It's just trash. These are pure trash sockets. Oh, and then on top of everything, on a 3/8 drive, mind you, they give you a 5/32. I don't even know why. I've never known anybody to give you a 5/32 socket with 3/8 drive. I mean, that's beyond stupid. Now, I have other Husky tools. I bought a set of their fully polished Husky wrenches. I bought these things, I don't know, geez, probably 15 years ago, 10 years ago at least. I've used them heavily. I did actually use these. They work great. The polish is great. The chrome was great. The fit was great. These were perfect, good tools. I enjoyed them. I've got a 2-stage oversized little compressor over there. That's actually also a Husky in the background. Does great. I've got some Husky ratchets. They actually are pretty decent ratchets. I've not had a problem. There's my 1/4-inch snap-on flex head, and there's my 1/4-inch Husky. This has been a great ratchet. I've got no complaints with it. I've got the 3/8 Husky straight. I've got no complaints. It actually works really good. There's a 3/8 snap-on stubby. You know, I don't mind spending money on a quality tool, and I don't mind getting a deal either, but I do not want to get completely ripped off, and that's what this junk is. I've got Husky screwdrivers. I've had these for almost 10 years. I've not broke or chipped or bent a single one. So I've had good history with Husky tools. I've been quite pleased with them. I've not had any complaints, and that's why I ordered this set. And what I've got is a complete and teetotal letdown. Just junk. One of the things that I wanted to show you, another reason that they're junk, is the lead-in. The lead-in is where your 3/8 socket goes in. It might be hard to tell. I'll try to keep this as... The lead-in is extremely dished. Now what happens is whenever you use, say, even the Husky socket, which you would think, okay, well maybe the Husky ratchet. Maybe the Husky socket works better with the Husky ratchet. Well, let's say I take this 13/16 and I put it on. As you can see, it ends right there. Problem is, look how much of the socket, the lead-in disappears before I ever even engage it. Still nothing, still nothing, still nothing. Now I've engaged it. So I'm only actually, let me get this right there. That's the engagement because the lead-in is so far. So what I did is I measured it. I measured the drop-in, I measured the angle. I'm sorry, not the angle. I measured the lead-in with a micrometer, and I must have put it up somewhere. I had it measured out. You're literally losing almost a fourth of this 3/8 ratchet head is not engaging into the socket. It's out here floating in nothing land in this so-called lead-in. Almost 25% of this does not engage the socket. Now, if you decide to go and you're heavy onto something and you're actually putting some torque into something, you're going to end up possibly busting this thing off. Now, the second thing is you have to understand how the leverage and the yield of sockets happen. Whenever you weigh into a socket, the socket is in here basically floating. It's got to spin. There's nothing really that contains it except for that plate. And so whenever you get out here further on the tip of the 3/8 drive, you're adding leverage onto this plate. Now the snap ring is pretty good. The ones that have screw fronts or screw backs like this snap on here in the back, you need to have a good anchoring because it will absolutely strip them screws if you've got too much yield out onto the end of your 3/8 drive. So what happens is whenever you don't get a good full bite on this 3/8, you will break your ratchet. You end up tilting. You've got all these gears on the bottom here that seesaw back and forth. That's your forward and your reverse. And then, of course, on the outside of your drive gear, you have teeth, and those little shoes find the teeth on both sides. So if you move or flex the actual drive of your socket the least little bit, you will move the teeth engagement. You'll cause damage. You'll cause failure. If you have a socket that does not sit completely down onto the end of your ratchet as far as possible, that's important, you will run the risk of breaking your ratchets. I've got these 20-year-old. This is about normal. This is less than a third. I'm sorry, I measured this one too. This was just shy of 1/4 the lead-in what comes on the Husky socket. So whenever I engage these, it engages almost the entire socket. That's junk. That's a bad design, and all that is a cheap way to cut steel out, cheapen your manufacturing. I'm sitting here and I pay this money for sockets. They give me one damn skip. I got this one. They actually pass quality control. They punch the wrong side on each side of the socket. I've got chrome in some of them, not chrome in others, half done on the others. The outside looks blemished. The engraving is blurry. It looks junky. You can actually feel it with your fingers. It's just junk. It is not the same engraving that comes on my ratchet. It is not the same engraving that's on my Torx from Husky. It is not the same engraving on my 1/4-inch ratchet. This is junk. This is absolute cheap shit junk. And I cannot believe that their quality on their hand tools has dropped to this level. If this is what Home Depot and Husky is going to give the consumer, they can absolutely, they've got my last dollar. So in the morning, I'm taking this junk back. And also, I'm going to tell them that the other set that I've got coming, I don't even want to look at them. I'm getting my money back for those as well. It's absolutely, this is less than consumer grade. You're better off buying a set of Stanleys, for God's sakes. This is absolutely, I can't even tell you how cheap and cheesy these things are. The people that get on the website and start 5-starring this, talking about how great it is, they're living in an apartment and they probably never met their father. I guarantee you they ain't got a damn clue what a good tool is, and they've never owned one. So they've been and bought one and they feel awesome, so they give it 5 stars. This is cheap shit. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I weighed them. I'm getting about 12 to 13%. I had to put up, I'm a reloader. I'm a hunter and a reloader, so I've got a grain scale in there that I do my loads with, so it's extremely accurate. I'm getting about 10% less weight. They're the same size relatively. To give you an example, I will take a 19 and this old 19. They are relatively the same size. They're the same length. They're the same outside diameter. This one's heavier, more carbon steel, more alloy shit. Cheap, thin junk, decent steel. And shame on Sears and Craftsman for screwing us over too. Bowing down to the cheap Chinese Asian shit. And I also can understand this, which this is getting petty. So they gave you 4 spark plug sockets, a 13/16, a 3/4, the 5/8, and of course the 18 millimeter. Same size, same size. This one's a 1/4 inch taller. No clue why. No sense in why. So I don't know. Don't really care about that. I'm just dumbfounded. So my point of this video, my rant, I'm a little upset because I hate getting taken advantage of, and that's what this is. These things ain't worth $10. They should sell these at Dollar General or some shit like that. Maybe have them on the little tool aisle at Food Line or Kroger, wherever you get your groceries at. This is less than consumer grade. This is not the quality that I have been dealing with some of my Husky tools that I've bought in the past. This is absolutely low quality. They're junk. If you're thinking about buying a set of sockets, you're better off at Harbor Freight. If you're going to buy Chinese sockets, you might as well get them cheaper. Actually, my son bought some Harbor Freight sockets. I've looked at them. I've seen them. They're Chinese sockets. They're better than this. They're better than these Huskies. Oh, and on top of everything, on the packaging, they come in this 3 packs of plastic here in a cardboard box. Nowhere on the website, nowhere on the socket, nowhere on the packaging, nowhere on the box does it actually say the origin of manufacture. Now, I don't know many consumer tools or products that you can get that doesn't say where it comes from. Hell, here's a piece of bar steel made in the USA. It says right there. Almost everything you buy has an origin of manufacture, but nowhere do they have this listed. So it's obvious that this is cheap, less than Chinese trash. So anyway, the point of the video is that if you're looking for a set of sockets, and you're trying to, oh yeah, look at, I forgot to tell you there, these also, by the way, get difference in height. I don't know if you can see this, but on the standards, they also have a different height setting. For instance, some of them, the bigger ones, are not taller, they're actually shorter than the smaller sockets. This is a 7/16. This is the next one up, a 1/2 inch. The 7/16 is taller than the other one. I don't have any sockets in my toolbox that this is a thing with. So what I'm looking at here, in my opinion, this is the shorter 7/16. It measures 1 inch and 8 thousandths, and the 1/2 inch measures 950 thousandths. So the bigger socket is shorter than the smaller socket. Now that's found on both sets. they're back and forth. Now what that tells me is we probably have two completely different manufacturers, two different forges, two different runs, and you know these are coming from Chichao, China, and this one here beside it came from Goo China. What the fuck ever. Shit sockets, complete trash, no quality control. No quality control. None. Absolutely, these things ain't worth $10. Home Depot, shame on you for putting this on the shelf. This is the kind of stuff that makes me go somewhere else. This is why Amazon Prime is kicking ass and taking names, because you brick and mortar stores are putting shit on the shelf and expecting us to pay retail prices. Absolute trash. If you're going to look for a set of sockets, skip Home Depot, skip Husky. I can't comment on the newer Craftsman. I'm probably sure they're better than this, but they're also made in China. My suggestion, if you're a young man, you better go ahead and make a quality investment and go find you some S&K, some Snap-on, some Matco, some Mac. If you can find an old set of Craftsman that actually say made in the USA, buy them. They're actually not bad. They've lasted me 20 years I worked in Chrysler, I worked in General Motors, I even worked for Rolls-Royce and Bentley. They absolutely worked. I've cracked maybe 2 or 3 of them, and it was usually from abuse. And here they sit in front of you, older than dirt. Don't buy the Husky. Skip it, run. I've got no problem with the ratchets. Well, the old screwdrivers, the old wrenches, the gear wrenches I got up, the stubbies. I've had no problems with the stuff I've bought in the last decade from Home Depot till now, and I'm done. I will never buy another tool from Home Depot or another tool from Husky. So I hope I can save you some trouble. Don't look at the horse crap videos. These things are so great. I've tried to break it. It ain't broke. They're trash. Look at the quality control I've showed you. The inconsistent height, the inconsistent sizes, the inconsistent finishes inside and out. Everything, the lead-in, this insane lead-in, which is going to risk breaking your ratchets. Don't waste 60 bucks, 70 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever. Just skip it, move on. Go find you someone else with another tool. Here's another one that's one's higher than the other by just a small amount. I've got a 9/16 and a 5/8. They should be the same height. 9/16 measures 2-inch 545 thousandths, 2/545. This one measures 2/493. So the bigger socket is 550 thousandths shorter. That's not a tool and dying issue. That's not a change in size and shape. That right there is nothing more than this came from one side of the country, this one came from another, and they go and they stamp them somewhere. Also, on top of everything, they also have different chrome on the interior. This one's half done. This one's maybe 3/4, far from what I'd call a fully polished interior. Just complete crap. Complete crap. Don't buy them. Move on. Find somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Get a better socket. It's an investment, especially even for a hobbyist. Don't buy this trash. Hope this helps. I hope someone sidestepped this landmine, keeps you from ordering and buying tools and getting home and looking at them or ordering them and picking them up and then having to go through what I went through today. Just to feel like you just been let down. Hope I helped somebody. Anyway, you have any questions, put it down there in the comments. Thanks for watching.